This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, multinationals using loopholes in tax language to escape their taxable duty will find it harder to fleece New Zealand soon, and Otago University is leading multiple studies in fighting significant diseases using robotics. Good evening with The South Today, I'm Craig Story. The Revenue Minister in Queenstown today speaking to international tax officials to highlight a proposal law that cracks down on multinational companies avoiding their tax. Judith Collins released 3 documents for consultation today focused on New Zealand's response to base erosion and profit shifting, 2 of the tools that are used by offshore companies to avoid paying their tax in this country. Mina Amso was there.
Revenues Minister Judith Collins did not want to go down the road of naming which companies were not paying their fair share of tax, but was adamant to crack down on those manipulating loopholes. Collins released 3 consultation documents that may turn into law, which propose to close down loopholes and tighten rules around those offshore companies paying tax. Collins says the proposal is strong and measured and are in accordance with the OECD's recommendations.
Bring us into line with similar jurisdictions.
But will multinationals still be able to find those loopholes?
We'll wait and see, but I think that once the proposals are put into law, that'll be much more difficult.
Collins says she will see how the tax law will pan out, but may change along the way to make sure multinationals can't find new ways around the law.
We have a balancing act here because we are a country that does require capital to come in from overseas and to build our businesses and keep people employed.
She explains offshore companies avoiding tax tend to direct their head office costs to a New Zealand company if they have an office in New Zealand.
And that means that the profits that they make in New Zealand are significantly reduced for tax purposes, and the real profit is being shifted offshore by way of the sort of manipulation.
Earlier reports claimed New Zealand was missing out on a $10 billion worth of tax, which Collins dismisses, saying it was only $200 to $300 million.
Corporate tax or company tax in New Zealand is currently around about $10 billion. So on the guesstimates of $10 billion, that would mean that we're only getting half of what we should for all corporates, and that's just not true.
Ministers will consider final proposals arising from the documents later in the year. Mina Amso, The South Today.
Otago Polytechnic continues to welcome an increasing number of students to tertiary studies. The institute is enjoying a 2.3% gain on enrolments from last year. The Polytechnic says enrolments are just under 4,000 equivalent full-time students across its campuses, more than 100 students above last month's budget prediction. Chief Executive Phil Kerr says the figures are very pleasing given the softness that is being reported across the tertiary sector. The growth in international student numbers is encouraging for all 3 of Otago Polytechnic's campuses and are currently tracking 44% up on the same time last year. Scientific breakthroughs in Parkinson's disease, gastric cancer and melanoma are happening right here in Dunedin. The University of Otago is using robotic technology to determine the molecular structure through crystallography studies, and it is performing biochemical experiments to better understand proteins.
Robots are taking over the University of Otago's biochemistry department, and they might just save your life. I'm Roselle Lebone here for the big reveal with Johannes Wyman, a PhD student at the University of Otago. He's about to lift the lid on protein crystals cultivated right here at the biochemistry lab.
So I'm just going to open up the storage unit where all the protein crystals are contained and frozen for long-term storage.
A team of researchers, led by Otago Department of Biochemistry's Dr. Peter Mace, studied a protein called apoptosis signal regulating kinase 1, or ASK1.
We use the crystallization robot because it can set up drops far smaller than we can set up by hand, and it can do it far quicker. So when you're setting up a really tiny drop, if you're doing it by hand, it is evaporated by the time you finish. So having the robot do it really quickly over 2 minutes, those drops are much better drops, and the experiment is performed much more effectively.
This protein plays a large part in a range of diseases. The team have been studying its behaviour and have found kinases act as a signalling protein, causing a cell to divide, move, die, or have any number of other responses. This means cell behaviour can be controlled to trigger specific responses in the body to threats or damage.
What our research is really doing is looking at the fundamental biochemistry of how cells signal and how they operate at a molecular level. So we try and make 3D maps of these signalling proteins.
Work is also being completed in the lab with kinases to develop better drugs for use in treatment.
It's not very far. In terms of 5 years, 10 years, like we could see something coming out of it. And I'm sure a lot of pharmaceutical companies would be interested in.
The study is a collaboration between researchers and scientists at the University, the Walter and Eliza Hall Institute in Melbourne, and the Australian synchrotron. Roselle Lebone, The South Today.
This is a fluffy animal story like no other. If a cunning rooster avoids capture again in Dunedin, he'll be shot. But Alex Kerr is asking for the Dunedin City Council to extend its deadline. The rooster walked onto his Glen Road property 5 months ago, and he's staying. He's coexisting with his cats. Mr. Kerr said the crowing of the rooster, he's called Henry, has incited noise complaints to the council. He asked the council and the complainants to give him just a little more time to catch Henry, have a chat, relocate. But Mr. Kerr, a roofer, took time off to try and catch the bird today. Good luck, Mr. Kerr. Good luck, Henry. Still to come on The South Today, the Green Party says the Prime Minister is deceiving the public on the quality of our water, and 3,500 competitors line up in Glendhu Bay this weekend for a multi-sport challenge that brings the best of international sports people that they have to offer.
Granddad loved his family and surfing, in that order. He taught me to surf, and we spent a lot of time in the water together over the years. When he died, I strapped the camera to the nose of his old board and filmed the paddle out at St. Clair. Gillian's played the video on the big screen at his funeral. Granddad would have loved having everyone come out one last surf for them.
Gillian's Funeral Services, helping families celebrate the lives of their loved ones for generations. Gillians.co.nz.
Here is this week's Mole Map UV report. Did you know if you tan easily or have dark skin, you're still at risk of skin cancer?
If you've ever been on a sunbed or been badly sunburnt, what are the chances you could have melanoma? Remove the doubt. Get a mole map.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product, and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
If you've always dreamed of building a new home or renovating your existing home, make it happen. Go to the Home Show, 3rd, 4th, 5th of March at the Moore FM Arena at the Edgar Centre. Adults $10, children free. See you at the Home Show.
The University of Otago, New Zealand's only true collegiate university. For first-year students, the history, the expectations of excellence are
unfamiliar.
G'day, I'm next door.
Hi, next door. I'm Samantha Pascoe.
No, you're not. I'm Josh, Clyde, Science. And you are?
Sam, Hastings, Laura and
Tane, Auckland, Commerce. Osaka, Greece, Classics. History.
Silverhorn Active Manuka Honey from the natural Manuka forests of New Zealand. Buy 1 250-gram pot for $34.90 and get a second pot for half price. Order online at silverhorn.co.nz.
From rare to the recent, visit the legendary Hard to Find for your quality second-hand books. With the largest stock in New Zealand and a friendly book-loving atmosphere. For good prices, buying or selling, come visit 20 Dowling Street.
Gillian's and Silverhorn bring you Rub of the Green, lawn bowls from around the south. Saturday night at 7, replaying on Sunday at 1 p.m. and Tuesday at 3:30.
You're watching The South Today. 30 customers queued for 20 minutes yesterday for the first arrival of 180 dozen oysters at Harbour Fish. Dennis Kai has a lifelong oyster habit. He reminisced on his first try.
About 5 down in Otago. Used to be a ritual every weekend, opening a sack of them.
The oyster addict, whose habit costs around $70 a week, oy vey, during the season, joined others to wait for the first of the delicacy to arrive in Dunedin. Retail manager Nancy Anderson says that she has sold oysters on the first day of the season for 9 years and their popularity hasn't waned. I'm salivating. The Otago Regional Council is taking a closer look at lake, lagoon and river health following Green Party claims that New Zealanders were let down by the government's freshwater announcement. The Green Party says Prime Minister Bill English is deceiving people by deeming dirty waterways are suitable for swimming. However, the Otago Regional Council can claim higher figures for water quality standards than the rest of the country, with most issues isolated to the summer months.
The Otago Regional Council this week released a statement claiming the vast majority of Otago's waterways were suitable for swimming. But at the end of last month, the Green Party claimed 1 person in 20 gets sick from a waterborne disease, and the government's freshwater announcement had done nothing but shift the goalposts. The proposed new grades for rivers are said to ignore the risk of Cryptosporidium, Giardia, Salmonella and other waterborne diseases, which account for 1/3 of waterborne illnesses in New Zealand, according to Ministry for the Environment figures. Freshwater ecologist Mike Joy also said shifting goalposts for water quality could allow more faecal matter in the river and lake water now deemed swimmable. Otago Regional Council says standards in Otago were more stringent than in other parts of the country.
Otago Regional Council has put in place standards for its rural water discharges at this point to ensure that occurs. And whilst the national standards are in place, our limits sit quite a bit higher than that.
They were satisfied that water quality had returned to an acceptable standard in areas including Lake Wahala and Tomahawk Lagoon.
Lakes Wakatipu, Wanaka and Hawea, our E. coli level or targets are 10 per 100 mils, and so that's significantly lower than the national bottom line of 540.
Earlier this year, the ORC released health warnings of presence of cyanobacteria in lakes around the region, but many have now been lifted. Roselle LeBone, The South Today.
Close to 3,500 competitors will line up at the Macpac Motatapu this weekend for the 13th hosting of this iconic multi-sport event. The event takes competitors from Glendhu Bay to Arrowtown by water, foot, bike or a combination of all three in the Xterra Triathlon. While the Skoda mountain bike event continues to be the most popular event on offer, with just under 2,000 riders taking part, those choosing to run or walk total just over 1,200 when taking into account the Miners Trail, the off-road marathon and the ultra run. Of the 23 countries, Australians are the largest contingent, with 270 entrants making the journey this week to compete across the range of events on offer. The one-day race takes place this Saturday. Weather report soon. After the break on The South Today, we'll finish what we started last night with a story on the most luxurious cruise ship you'll ever visit, or maybe you won't, and the weekend's ODT contents and the weather. You know, not so great.
Dunedin is recognised by UNESCO as a City of Literature. Find out how this came about and what it means for the city. In Dunedin, a city of literature, 7 p.m. Sundays. Proudly brought to you by Hard to Find Books.
Here is this week's Mole Map UV report. Did you know, in recent years, the number of New Zealanders dying from melanoma has been as high as the road toll?
If you've ever been on a sunbed or been badly sunburnt, what are the chances you could have melanoma? Remove the doubt. Get a mole map.
For over 35 years, Roslyn Mowers and Heating have been selling and servicing outdoor power equipment and are well established in home heating, installing wood fires. Call in and meet the friendly team. Roslyn Mowers and Heating, 150 Kaikorai Valley Road.
Travelling this weekend? Think slow.
Hi, welcome back to Alex Campbell Menswear. We're filming again from our Mosgiel store. We're having a 3-store wide, sizzling summer sale. It's the end of the season. We have sizzling prices in short sleeve shirts, polos, shorts, jeans. We've got specials in trousers. It's a sizzling summer sale.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
It's a sizzling summer sale.
The University of Otago, an institute of world-class education and the social epicentre of the city, with outfits needed for more formal functions like the ball and for less formal functions like...
The zoo? Are you sure?
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah, Dad, you'll definitely see me. I'm the one in the yellow and blue face paint and the onesie in the zoo.
We're a 25 Moray Place, Dog with Tails Cafe and Bar. So we take coffee very seriously. We do what's called contract roasting, so we're creating our own roasting profile and then doing our own blends. We're really focused on the craft of what we're doing. You know, we're going back, instead of going on mass-produced sort of cheap things, we're taking the time to really craft what we're making. Make it so anyone can come here and have a feed and be able to get something they're able to eat or that they want to eat as well. You're kind of getting a taste of cafes from all around the world when you come here.
Garage Dunedin, delivering quality stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 15 years. New doors, replacement doors, repairs and maintenance are all part of Garage quality service. Garage Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team at 553 Kaikorai Valley Road. Visit www.garrador.co.nz or call us on 488 5676.
Bring some more joy into your world by adopting one of our adult animals at SPCA Otago. Call now on 473 8252. Please adopt a pet now, they will love you forever.
Here is this week's Mole Map UV report. Did you know, in recent years, the number of New Zealanders dying from melanoma has been as high as the road toll?
If you've ever been on a sunbed or been badly sunburnt, what are the chances you could have melanoma? Remove the doubt. Get a mole map.
Get finance and get on the road. Talk to MTF today.
Thank you for staying with the South today. A smaller than average cruise ship came and went from Dunedin waters recently after making a flying visit to Port Chalmers. The Azamara Journey, called the Boutique Hotel of the Seas, has set a course to see some of the spots around New Zealand and Australia that larger vessels sometimes miss.
It's floating proof that size doesn't always matter. Although a room aboard the Azamara Journey will set you back about as much as a night at the Hilton in Auckland. I'm Rosella Bone. I'm here lined up, ready to board boutique ship Azamara Journey. It's docked here in Dunedin for its first ever visit to New Zealand.
Everything's smaller in here, including the lifts.
While this ship is all about luxury for its 690 passengers, it's catering to a specific clientele who have grown tired of the excess of larger cruises and are looking for something a little more exclusive. Suites have their own butler, and staff aboard are well qualified to make sure your every whim is catered for. Their chef has cooked for the royal family and Hollywood royalty, everyone from Queen Elizabeth to Al Pacino and Robert De Niro.
It was an amazing experience because apart cooking, you need to go through screenings. And it's not just screening of yourself as an individual, but your family and the family that you are with at the time. So yeah, a lot of security involved. And we're talking about 20 years, well, almost 20 years ago.
Do you have a big family? Yeah. Does that who you cook for first, your first audience?
Well, my family, I mean, I'm not allowed to cook at home still. With my mother, there's no way.
This waiter has worked with the company for more than 10 years.
Well, it's great. It's a good experience to travel. Knowing that I'm come so far, all the way in Jamaica, and it's a wonderful experience that I'm working on the ship all over the US. We've been all through Europe, all through the Caribbean, all over. We've been through Antarctica.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been there.
Where was that your favourite experience so far?
Well, it was a very nice experience. Knowing that Jamaica, we don't have any ice, it's just warm all through the year.
And if you get tired of all that food and hospitality, you can always retire to the gym or one of the ship's many decks or pools. While it's called boutique, there's no shortage of things to see, do or buy aboard. The captain, a long way from home in Norway, says the size of the ship made sailing on the journey a unique experience for tourists, but he still enjoyed the simple pleasures back on land.
Our concept is to focus more on the destinations and spending more time in port, and we do a lot of overnights in port to give the guest experience of seeing the ports at night, as many of the ports don't come alive until the evening.
When you're on the ship, what is the first thing you want to eat when you get on to terra firma?
Or when I get home, you mean?
When you get home, like what is...
Peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Sadly, my time on the Azamara had to come to an end. But not before I retired to the drawing room for a cup of tea and a lie down. All that luxury was hard work.
I could get used to this.
Roselle LeBone, The South Today.
Well done. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Revenue Minister Judith Collins spoke to international tax officials to highlight a draft law which aims to crack down on the multinational companies which are currently avoiding tax. And scientific breakthroughs in Parkinson's disease, gastric cancer and melanoma are happening in Dunedin at the University of Otago, and they're using robotic technology. And let's have a look now at what's coming up. It's a big fat issue for this weekend's ODT, Phil.
Of course it is. The mix has lots of mix. I had a quick look through. Food was about fresh herbs, one coriander and lamb, that tasted nice. Body and soul section is about accentuating the positive.
Nice.
Which talked about how, I mean, it's a natural human trait to concentrate on the negative. We do it often without even realising.
To keep ourselves out of danger.
Yeah, that's the point she makes. Yes. That's the point. You don't want a saber-toothed tiger coming up behind and you weren't weary about it.
I hate it when that happens.
Fashion, there's 3 pages of fashion. I'm sartorially challenged, so I'm afraid that passed me by. Each to their own. In the arts section about experimental music, which is related to the Fringe Festival.
Yes.
There's a story from Dunedin anaesthetist Matthew Zacharias, who each year goes off on a humanitarian mission, and he's been in northern Iraq, so
That wouldn't have been the safest or easiest place to be in.
It'd make for a good read.
Yes, yes. Now on the news front, we've looked at the Canterbury District Health Board's decision to dump the food provider Compass, saying it's saving them lots of money. It's a slightly different message than what we got when we got the 15-year contract here for Compass and closed parts of our kitchens.
I think that's the start of a long conversation.
I think
we need to have that discussion.
That's right. We've also a story about an OIA with the police on their dealings with drunken issues in town, and it's not coming from the bars, mostly from preloading and people drinking at home, which is not entirely a surprise, but sometimes the bars get a bad rap for what happens elsewhere. Otago Polytechnic, they continue to do very well with growing numbers, despite the trends in other directions and other places. And on the business pages is a nice story about 2 graphic designers that have returned to Dunedin and why for the surfing lifestyle.
Good choices. Excellent, Phil Somerville. Thank you so very much, sir. All right, everyone, grab a brolly. Time for the weather.
This weather update proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorn Sports Valve.
And looking at our weather shot, isn't that pretty? That is central Otago at this time of the year. It's simply gorgeous. Beautiful flowers. That's probably from Anderson's Park Art Gallery or Anderson's Park. And look at that. That's that big pointy thing downtown Invercargill. It's wet. How could that be? Looking at the situation, a cold front is sweeping away with showers and gusty cold winds are easing. It's a breezy weekend, but fine weather ensues for most of the south. The outlook now, okay, this is boilerplate for the deep south. Balclutha, strong westerlies, risk of showers and 15. The same for Lumsden, Gore and the Catlins. You can expect a fairly breezy weekend. Consider it damp, consider it, well, mid-teens. To Alexandra, fresh westerlies fine and 19 for you, the same for Queenstown, but 16. Taianau, strong westerlies fine and 18, and Wanaka, fresh westerlies fine and 18 for you. Maybe a little bit damp, but blowy. Off to Oamaru, afternoon nor'easters, cloud and 18 degrees. Omarama, fresh westerlies fine and 18. Timaru, moderate nor'westers, fine and 19. And fresh westerlies for Twizel, 18, but fine conditions, not necessarily damp. Dunedin tonight, showers of course, gusty, cool sou'westers, 8 degrees overnight, but for Saturday, sunny periods all over again, but a sharp, cool sou'wester brings everything back to normal, 7 and 15. Sunday will be milder, moderate westerlies, a little more high cloud, and the same we can expect for Monday. Your numbers there, 12 and 19, that's fairly optimistic. Invercargill tonight, showers clearing. Gusty, cool sou'westers, you can expect 9. Saturday, a risk of showers under some cloud, but mostly cool, dry weather conditions, but sou'westers prevailing 8 and 14. Sunday, more showers and cloud later in the day. Fresh westers, very similar for Monday going into the new week too. 8 and 16 are your numbers. That's a cacophony of weather, isn't it? So be prepared, it's going to be a fairly blustery weekend. All right, so that is a very long week that we've had, a lot to discuss and a lot to still do and to achieve next week. On behalf of the very hard-working team of the South Today, I'm Craig Story. Thank you. Good evening.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.